The ground shakes. A massive 6.3 earthquake rocks the Pacific Ring of Fire. There's no tsunami this time, but the timing couldn't be any more explosive because as the planet trembles, history is about to be written right here in America. In just days, President Donald J. Trump will meet face to face with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. The first time in over a decade, Putin has set foot on American soil. The stakes: nothing less than a potential ceasefire in Ukraine, a test of American strength, and a power play that could shift the balance of the entire world. But here's the thing that people are not just talking about: the quake's magnitude here. They're not. In fact, they're asking why. Was it simply tectonic plate shifting, or was there something far more deliberate causing these earthquakes that they're not talking about on mainstream media? Now, some people are saying that it's the sun itself, massive solar flares rattling the earth. Others are calling it a divine warning in the middle of rising global tensions. Some people are saying it's the end of times. And then, of course, there are those who are pointing to something that's far darker: nuclear testing or even man-made weather manipulation. And when you hear what's been happening in Russia's own seismic zones just before this quake took place, the coincidences, I'll just call them coincidences here, okay? They might start to feel a little bit less like coincidences. So today, we're going to connect the dots from the fault lines under the Pacific to the political fault lines in Alaska, from the science to the speculation to the high-stakes chess match between Trump and Putin that is about to play out under the shadow of history. But by the end of this video, you're going to have to make a choice. Was this earthquake just nature doing what it always does, or is it a sign, maybe even a warning, in the days before one of the most consequential meetings of our lifetime? Now, trust me, when you hear Putin's real motive for pushing the summit in this particular location, you're going to see why this week could be the turning point that the world never saw coming. If you appreciate the news updates, please click the like button and subscribe. Let's set the stage right now. Breaking event context, okay? A powerful 6.3 magnitude earthquake just slammed the Pacific Ring of Fire near Papua in India. Now, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center rushed in with an update. No tsunami threat this time, but make no mistake, the alert was not automatic. Now, for the first hour, the question on everyone's mind was, is this the one that sends a wall of water racing toward coastal cities? Now, here's the thing. This wasn't an isolated event. In just the past 2 weeks, the ground has been shaking from one end of the planet to the other. A 5.8 in Mexico, multiple hits in Guatemala and Guam, a 6.1 in Turkey that collapsed a dozen buildings, and the monster 8.8 magnitude in Russia that literally woke up dormant volcanoes, 7 of them, erupting all at once. Now, does anybody see a pattern here? This isn't a once every few months type of activity here. This is a drumbeat, guys. Quake after quake, eruption after eruption, almost as if the planet itself is trying to send a message. But what message is the planet sending? And who is the message being sent to? Well, keep that question in the back of your mind, because the answer may not be as simple as just another day on the Ring of Fire. So let's talk about where this is all happening. The Ring of Fire. It's a 40,000 kilometer horseshoe of seismic chaos, stretching from the coast of South America all the way up through North America's west coast, across Japan, down through the Southeast Asia, and into Oceania. So this belt is responsible for about 90% of the world's earthquakes and 75% of all active volcanoes. This is where the tectonic plates crash, grind, and dive essentially beneath each other. And when they slip, this is what's happening. When they slip, the energy release is measured not just in tremors, but in tsunamis and lava flow that can literally rewrite entire coastlines. So just in the last 2 weeks, it's been like someone turned up the dial. We're seeing what experts call a parade of seismic events. And it's not just happening in one spot. Mexico, Guatemala, Guam, Turkey, Russia, Indonesia. The list goes on and on and on. And so the entire belt at this point is pretty active. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. And it's also where I'm going to need you guys to weigh in. People are split on why this is happening right now, because the timing is rather suspicious. Some say it's simple geology. Pressure builds, it's released, end of story, right? Others are pointing to solar flares, massive bursts from the sun hitting Earth's magnetic fields and triggering instability. Now, some believe it's a divine warning, a global wake-up call in the middle of intensifying wars and political fault lines. Others are whispering about underground nuclear tests gone wrong, maybe even connected to that 8.8 in Russia. And there are also those who are saying that it's all weather and seismic manipulation, technology used for purposes that most people couldn't even imagine. Now, I'm not telling you which one to believe yet, but I will say this. When earthquakes and volcanoes flare up in multiple countries and the geopolitical stage is set for one of the highest stakes meetings in years, you just can't help but wondering if these two worlds, natural, supernatural, political, maybe they're all colliding. I'm just saying. And so, speaking of political fault lines, wait until you hear what's happening in Alaska. Now, most people don't even realize this. Next year's Medicare changes are already being decided right now. Now, I partnered with Chapter because they keep ahead of those curves. That way you're not blindsided. Thankfully, someone's staying ahead of the curve for us, right? Well, Leslie Taylor, she saved $1,000 a year by making changes before prices went up. Catherine Garcia, she got into a plan where she owes absolutely nothing for her care. It's all paid for. This is insider knowledge that you won't get from a TV ad. Waiting, unfortunately, means you'll find out about the changes after it's too late to fix them. That would be a massive problem. So do not get caught up. Do not waste another moment. Pick up the telephone. Call the number on your screen right now, 909-563-8279, or visit them at askchapter.org/Ron in order to get ahead of next year's hikes. These are amazing people. It is a totally free call. Their service is 100% free. So now the 6.3 quake, it didn't just hit on any random day. It struck just days before one of the most high-stakes diplomatic showdowns in recent history, the historic Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. Now, I want you to think about that. The world's most active seismic zones shake violently right before the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, sits down with Vladimir Putin on American soil for the first time in over a decade. And Alaska's not an accident. So once upon a time, Alaska was Russian territory, and it was sold to America back in 1867. And so now in 2025, it's the very ground where Putin will have to step foot to essentially negotiate with a U.S. president who's made it clear he's not here to play games. So this isn't just geography. This is symbolism on steroids. It's a reminder to Putin, you're coming to my turf, my terms. And so while the planet shakes beneath the Pacific, political fault lines are about to shift in that meeting room, maybe in ways that the world hasn't seen since the Cold War. Now, let's be real here, guys. Putin didn't suddenly wake up and decide, oh, you know what? I want peace with the United States. I want peace with Ukraine. That did not happen, okay? Putin didn't wake up just because he decided that it's the right thing to do. General Jack Keane, former vice chief of staff of the U.S. Army, he spelled it out. Putin wants this meeting because it puts him on the global stage next to the most influential leader in the world. That's legitimacy that he just can't buy anywhere else. And he's looking for more than just a photo op. He wants to delay sanctions. He wants to carve out more territory in the Ukraine. He wants breathing room. And so here's the problem for him, though. And also the reason this is different than any meeting that he's had with a U.S. president previously, Donald J. Trump holds the strong hand. Military aid to Ukraine increased, sanctions ready to drop harder than ever, tariffs locked and loaded, negotiating stance, no partial deals, no fake ceasefires, full stop to the fighting first. Then we talk about land and guarantees. Trump is walking into Alaska with the wind at his back, and Putin realizes that. And so in a world where earthquakes and volcanoes are shaking up the map, it's fair to say, is Putin coming to the table from a position of weakness, or is this another one of those long game plays from President Trump? Now, I will tell you this. The next part of this discussion, this is where we hit the heart of the debate, because whether you believe it or not, there's a growing wave of people who are saying that these earthquakes might not be natural at all. Now, here's where things get uncomfortable, because while the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center and the USGS will tell you today's 6.3 quake was just tectonic plates doing what tectonic plates do, no one's really buying that, or at least not everyone. And frankly, the alternative explanations range anywhere from completely plausible to absolutely scary. So here's what's out there. So we're hearing mainstream science. The official line is simple. Massive geological fault lines along the Ring of Fire build pressure and then release it into the form of earthquakes. There's no conspiracy, it's just physics. But then there's solar flares. So back in March, we had major bursts from the sun hitting Earth's magnetic field. Some experts and a few government scientists have admitted that they're studying possible links between solar activity and seismic instability. Is the sun literally shaking the ground beneath us? Well, we'll leave that up for debate for now. Divine warning. Now, in the middle of escalating global conflict with the wars, political brinkmanship, and even whispers of World War III, some believers say that these quakes are a direct warning from God, a message: repent or face what comes next. Now, also there are some people who are saying that underground nuclear testing has taken place, that the 8.8 quake in Russia a few weeks ago, there's speculation that it wasn't entirely natural, that maybe it was a nuclear test gone wrong, and that the chain of quakes that we're seeing now is fallout from that event. The last thing that we're seeing here, or hearing, weather manipulation. The most controversial theory, advanced technology intentionally triggering these seismic events. Now, some say it's being done to destabilize regions. Others are saying it's done to send a warning. Now, if it's true, it could be one of the most dangerous tools ever unleashed. Now, I'm not here to tell you which one is right, but I'm asking you, which one do you believe? Drop a 1 if you think it's natural, drop a 2 if it's solar flares, 3 if it's divine, 4 if it's natural, 4 if it's nuclear testing, and drop a 5 if you believe in man-made manipulation, because the answer you pick says a whole lot about how you see this world and how you see what happens next in Alaska. Because let's be clear, the quake might dominate today's headlines, but in just a few days, the world's attention will be locked on a single room in Alaska. Here is the hard truth here. Putin wants 30% of Ukraine prime defense ground. Okay, we're talking land he hasn't been able to take despite 2 years of fighting and massive troop losses. Ukraine says no. The European Union says no. And President Trump, he made it crystal clear. No land giveaways, no reward for aggression, and no backroom deals until the guns go silent. Trump's plan is straightforward and unapologetic. Stop the shooting. Stop the killing. Lock in a ceasefire. Only then will talks begin about territory and long-term security guarantees for Ukraine. So, this is why this summit matters. It's not just about two leaders shaking hands. It's about whether the war in Ukraine takes its first real step toward ending, or if it explodes into something even bigger. And when you factor in that the ground is literally shaking across the globe, I mean, you just cannot help but feel the weight of that moment. So now let's talk about where this summit really is happening, okay? Because this summit location is not some small detail. Alaska isn't just a convenient halfway point between Washington and Moscow. Alaska is a statement. So this is the first time in over a decade that Vladimir Putin will set foot on U.S. soil. And it's not in D.C., it's not in New York, it's not on neutral ground, it's in Alaska, territory that was once Russian territory sold to the United States in 1867. Now, for Trump, hosting the meeting here is a power move. It says, you're coming to my country, my ground, and you're meeting under my flag. It's symbolic dominance before a single word is even spoken. And so here's the flip side. Some will argue that just by showing up, Putin gets a propaganda win at his home. He gets to tell the people that he was invited to America as an equal, standing across the table from the president of the United States. So, which is it? Is it a chess master's play by Trump to force Putin to negotiate on U.S. terms, or is it a PR opening for Putin to exploit? Now, I want to hear from you guys in the comments, because this is one of those moments where perception and reality can be very different things here. So now, step back just for a second. I want you to look at the bigger picture. On the one hand, we have the planet itself in upheaval. A restless ring of fire shaking from Indonesia to Russia to the Americas. Volcanoes that were dormant for centuries, all of a sudden they're roaring back to life. And on the other hand, we have humanity's own version of fault lines. Wars in Europe and the Middle East, a historic US-Russia summit that could decide the future of the Ukraine. An American president walking into the room, holding the stronger cards, but facing an opponent known for long games and hidden traps. Are these two worlds, natural and political, colliding purely by chance, or are we witnessing something deeper, a chain of events that's both shaking the ground under our feet and shaking the balance of power at the same time? It's kind of a moment that makes you wonder if history is unfolding in ways that we can feel literally. before we even read the headlines. And that kind of brings us to one last decision, one last choice that you need to make before this video ends. So here we are. The ground has stopped shaking, at least for now, but the political earth, it's still rumbling. We've laid out the 5 competing explanations for the 6.3 earthquake. 1, mainstream science saying tectonic plates are shifting, pure geology, nothing more than that. 2, solar flares. The sun itself is triggering instability here on Earth. 3, divine warning. God is sending a message in the middle of global unrest. 4, underground nuclear testing, a hidden hand detonating something deep down below. And 5, weather or seismic manipulation, human-made interference on a massive scale. Now, I'm asking you right now, guys, which out of those beliefs do you believe? I want you to type the number in the comments down below, and don't just type the number. I want you to tell me why you think that, because the comment section is really where this debate is going to get real. And I want to see what you're saying, and I want to see what everyone else is saying. And so here's something to think about. If you believe in anything other than the pure geology, then you also have to believe that timing matters, that someone or something allowed this quake to happen. Right before President Donald J. Trump steps into that room in Alaska with Vladimir Putin, Trump's going in with the stronger hand. He's got the military aid, the sanctions, the tariffs, and a clear demand, full ceasefire before any talk of territory. But what if this quake and the chain of seismic chaos that we've been watching is part of the bigger story that the public hasn't even been told about yet? That's the real question. That's the question I really want to leave you with. Is the earth shaking because of the tectonic plates, or because the weight of history and the future of global power is pressing down harder than ever? And listen, YouTube thinks that you're really going to enjoy the next video that just popped up on your screen. If you want to keep going deeper into what's really happening behind the scenes, watch that video right now, and I'll meet you on the other side.